By the time the fires began to die down, not because it was over, but because there was nothing left to burn, something else was already happening. The sky went dark. All that smoke, all that ash, all that vaporized rock. It had formed a layer in the upper atmosphere so thick that sunlight couldn't get through. Not dimmed, not reduced. Gone. Scientists estimate that within days of the impact, global temperatures began to drop, not by a degree or two, by 10 to 15 degrees Celsius, within weeks. This is called impact winter, and it lasted, depending on which model you believe, between 1 and 10 years. Think about what that means. No sunlight means no photosynthesis. No photosynthesis means plants die. Plants die means herbivores starve. Herbivores starve means carnivores starve. The asteroid didn't kill the dinosaurs. The darkness that followed did. The giant plant eaters, the sauropods, the hadrosaurs, they needed enormous amounts of food every single day. When the plants disappeared, they had weeks, maybe months, not more. The large carnivores like T-Rex lasted a little longer. They could scavenge the bodies of the plant eaters, but eventually those ran out too. Here's the part that most documentaries skip over. The asteroid impact triggered something else, something that made everything worse. The impact hit a region rich in sulfur. When the rock vaporized, it released billions of tons of sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere. Sulfur dioxide mixed with water vapor to form sulfuric acid. Acid rain. Global, relentless. For years, the oceans became more acidic. Marine creatures with calcium carbonate shells dissolved. The marine food chain collapsed separately from the land food chain. So the dinosaurs were dealing with impact winter with no sunlight, global acid rain, collapsing food chains on land and sea, and increased volcanic activity. Simultaneously, 75% of all species on Earth went extinct. Not just dinosaurs, mosasaurs, plesiosaurs, pterosaurs, ammonites, most marine reptiles. Gone. The ones that made it, the small mammals, some birds, crocodilians, turtles, survived because they were small enough to hide, eat almost anything, and wait it out in burrows or underwater. Here's the twist. The extinction of the dinosaurs wasn't the end of the story. It was the beginning of ours. Those small, furry mammals that hid underground during the worst 24 hours in Earth's history. They came out into a world with no large predators, no competition, vast, empty ecosystems waiting to be filled. Within 10 million years, which sounds long but is nothing in geological time, mammals had evolved into whales, horses, bats, elephants, and eventually, about 300,000 years ago, into us. Every human being alive today is descended from a creature small enough to hide in a burrow while the sky was on fire. Think about that next time you look up at the sky. The worst 24 hours in Earth's history didn't just end an era, it started ours. The asteroid didn't choose us. It just cleared the way. And the small, frightened underground survivors of that impossible day, they turned the emptied world into everything we see around us now. Next week, we're going even deeper into the creatures that almost prevented us from existing at all. Subscribe so you don't miss it. It's a graveyard out there, and we're the ones who made it out. The dinosaurs didn't die when the asteroid hit. They died in the hours after, and what happened in those hours was so catastrophic, so relentlessly brutal, that the impact itself was almost the least of their problems. This is the story of the worst 24 hours in the history of life on Earth. Hour by hour, minute by minute, the rock was roughly 12 kilometers wide. That's bigger than Mount Everest is tall. It was traveling at approximately 20 kilometers per second, fast enough to cross the entire United States in about 3 minutes. When it hit what is now Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, it released energy equivalent to 1 billion nuclear bombs detonating simultaneously. 1 billion. But here's the thing that most people don't know. The dinosaurs that were close to the impact, they died instantly. They were the lucky ones, because what came next was so much worse. Within seconds of impact, a shockwave ripped through the Earth's crust. Not through the air, through the ground itself. Every earthquake, every volcanic eruption humanity has ever recorded combined doesn't come close to what happened in that first minute. The ground moved in waves like water, mountains collapsed, coastlines disappeared, Tsunamis hundreds of meters tall were already forming and moving outward at the speed of a jet plane. But the dinosaurs thousands of kilometers away, the ones in what is now Europe, Asia, Africa, they were still alive, still walking around. Some of them were probably looking up at the sky, wondering what that bright flash was. Within the first hour, something terrifying was already happening above them. Billions of tons of vaporized rock had been blasted into the upper atmosphere, and it was moving fast, spreading across the entire planet like a blanket pulling itself over the sky. And this is just hour 1. What happened next, hours 3, 6, and 12, is where things get truly horrifying. If you want to see what we're covering next week, subscribe right now, because what killed the dinosaurs wasn't the impact. It was the aftermath. And we're going deep into all of it. Back to hour 3. Here's something that sounds impossible. Within 3 hours of the impact, the sky was raining fire. Not metaphorically, literally. All that vaporized rock that got blasted into the atmosphere came back down. Billions of tiny molten droplets, called impact ejecta, re-entered the atmosphere at high speed. And when they did, they heated the upper atmosphere to temperatures higher than the surface of the sun. For several hours, the infrared radiation coming down from the sky was intense enough to ignite forests spontaneously, without a spark, without lightning. Trees simply caught fire because the air itself was hot enough to burn them. Every dinosaur that was exposed, in open fields, on plains, near coastlines, experienced something like being placed inside a massive broiler. The ones that survived were the ones underground, in burrows, in water deep enough to provide protection. This is actually why so many small mammals survived. They were small enough to hide underground. The giant dinosaurs had nowhere to go. And the fires, once started, burned across entire continents. Forests that had existed for millions of years were gone within hours.